Because of the unbelievable stupidity of people like Matt Hancock. Well, because of Matt Hancock, there was a decision taken to send elderly patients who had contracted COVID into care homes without further testing, and they took the disease into care homes, and COVID spread like wildfire, and many people died. Now, 30 families are now taking legal action against the government, against care homes, against several hospitals across England over the deaths of their relatives in the early days of COVID. The families argue that there wasn't enough done to protect their loved ones from the virus. Now, that's an interesting argument. They're not specifically saying this was the callous and fault of Matt Hancock. It may not have been. This was the stupidity of Matt Hancock. That's my opinion. It may not have been. But not enough was done. Now that's a much more interesting argument, isn't it? Not enough was done. Not enough was done to stop the loss of life and the distress and damage that caused. That the government, we expect the government to safeguard our loved ones, particularly those who are in care homes. It's in the name, a care home, a home that cares. And if you're just dumping the people that you don't want in hospitals in a care home, it's not a care home, it's some sort of garbage management. That's not what we pay for, it's not what we expect from our government, and it's not what we want. I think they have a very, very strong case, particularly given the fact that the High Court has already ruled that the policy of moving people without proper testing from hospitals directly into care homes was unlawful. Nearly 20,000 care home residents died with COVID-19 because they were in this fish tank of an environment where disease was willingly brought into the home. They were in an enclosed environment. They had no choice but to breathe in that disease and then die. It's really distressing and really wrong. The government at the same time put out rhetoric that was completely different, that we are putting a protective ring around care home residents. Actually, what they were doing was putting a choke around care home residents and then introducing the virus. So I think that it's I think it's really important that people are made aware, are brought to account for their actions, but more than that, I think we've moved into a position in our society where all we're interested in is who is responsible. We now need to look at who survives and who are the victims, and we need to recognize that this is a society, our society is one that cares for the victims as well as cares that the people who perpetrated these things don't get away scot-free. I think as ministers, it's very difficult to hold ministers to account for what they've done, for the decisions they've taken. And it may also be the case that Matt Hancock, for all his stupidity and his louche and absurd behavior, it may well be that in the end we just have to admit that he was a silly man. Can we be held responsible for the damage that we cause others simply because we are silly, stupid, thoughtless? Well, actually, stupidity costs lives, doesn't it? And if you remember during the last war, careless talk costs lives. And I think we need to consider the role of those people we've elected to high office, those people who then have been offered ministerial jobs at high pay, those people who are still creaming money off the public purse. We need to hold them fully to account for the actions that took place under their control.